went to VidCon, and it was not what I expected. I mean, I guess I didn't really know what I was expecting, but it was not what I got.
Empty.
So hi-ho-hello, what's the dealio? Let me set the stage for you. So myself and a bunch of the art commentary gals and commentary NBs took a shot and decided to meet up for VidCon. I got to hang out with Mally Malware, Streamline Workshop, Fiona Polo, Spy V, Callie Mara, Harley TBS, Cringy, Wub, Skritus, Paragon, and Cartoonshi showed up for a bit. I actually made everyone these cute little jar necklaces with bird bones and glitter that all corresponded either to their channel's color scheme or just their favorite colors. Sadly, I forgot to get footage of those, but I thought they were cute. Also, I inherently apologize for my filming style. I am a, self-conscious vlogger. I borrowed this sneaky little camera from my brother.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And like, if you're super self-conscious about vlogging or whatnot, you can just do this. People don't even notice that it's there.
But I really don't like filming myself, or people who don't like being on camera, or people who don't know they're on camera. So there's a lot of quick movements and lack of faces from those I'm hanging out with, which doesn't even matter in the long run because I'm covering up their faces anytime they do appear with art anyways. But I thought you might like to know that's why my vlogging style is the way that it is. Ooh, creator convention extraordinaire, or whatever. Right from the get-go, we ran into a bit of a problem, as you couldn't bring in opaque bags past a certain size threshold, and Mally happened to be carrying one of those such bags. This rule proved to not make a lick of sense later on when people were allowed to buy even bigger VidCon-approved, I guess, black bags. While I did hear rumors that people who left the convention hall with those bags were not then allowed back inside because the bags they bought at VidCon didn't meet the rule requirements, I never ran into that issue myself because you could not catch me dead buying merch. Sorry, just ain't my bag. Ha! Puns. The wider convention hall was divvied up into two main sections, most of which was full of game tester displays, weird little activities for the kiddies, or booths pertaining to things that I am definitely too old to see the appeal of. Although, as soon as we set foot inside, I couldn't help but think I was either being mocked or else greenlit to be there. I'm going to assume it was the former because it's more funny. Without having much to do, Fiona Polo and I wandered around for a short while before meeting back up with a few of the girls at a D&D booth, which was selling a plethora of gorgeous figurines, dice, and stickers. You can absolutely catch me dead buying stickers because I bought some. Here they are on my iPad. They're the sparkly ones. They're adorable and I love them. Infuriatingly, I cannot figure out the order the expo hall booths and exhibits are listed in. It's not numerical, it's not alphabetical, it's not based on layout. I have no idea what constitutes the order these vendors are listed in, and it's bothering me. Thankfully, the dice booth I bought the stickers at is literally the first one listed in the book. It's the Kurohime item shop. When we got hungry, there was a good selection of food trucks outside, which were maybe a little pricey, but that's sort of what you come to expect at conventions. No complaints about the food were had from any of us. Food time. Also, there were kittens. That was cool. Hope they got adopted. It was around this time we decided to try our hands at our first panel, and this also happened to be where we started running into some of the more noticeable problems of VidCon. Namely, I guess any random fucko can host a panel at these things? Because as creators, we wanted to try out some of the creator-aimed panels in the hopes that they might have some good advice for things like growing your channel or monetization or whatever. Things that you would expect to be priorities for people in the creator sphere, right? But wow, the bar for quality at these panels was not particularly high. We were wholly unimpressed by this first one. While the schedule was divided into a creator track, a community track, and an industry track, I'm gonna be real, I couldn't give you much of an impression of the latter two. Thankfully, I'm not big enough to be concerned with the industry track, and I do not care enough to engage with the community track. I think I maybe remember going to a couple community track events, but if I did, I was probably tagging along with the other art gals because I had nothing else to do. Next up came the Creator Lounge, which I imagine was supposed to be a spot for networking or something, but really we just chilled in there a little bit to rest our feet. It was comfy, I can definitely say that. Shark! One of the things I remember taking issue with at the time was the amount of stuff I saw pertaining to creator sponsorships, MLMs, and NFTs. With sponsorships, gotta admit, not really much of a fan. It feels too often that you hear about some popular sponsorship being not as advertised, really environmentally unsustainable, or just flat out bleedin' scams. I always feel really bad for the audience in that regard because then it's like a creator they really enjoyed facilitated them being taken advantage of or cheated out of their money. I was kinda hoping for some panels expanding on that. I don't know, it seemed like there was a lot of focus on getting sponsorships as opposed to being responsible with them, or warning prospective creators about bad actors or scam artists or emails geared towards monetizing their platform in a destructive way. Just feels like a convention like this would benefit from panels encouraging a more proactive mentality in that regard in creators. Maybe that's just me. With MLMs and NFTs, basically speaks for itself. It was maybe a little unnerving the amount it felt like those aspects were present in the convention, but I'm also not gonna say that I was surprised. In fairness, not all of it was direct panels or booths. Some of it was grifters wandering the floors, which I don't really know if VidCon can do much about. I also remember basically none of us being super plussed over the panels promoting the phasing out of editors through AI editing tools. Yeah, not looking forward to seeing how that develops in later years. Frankly, too much of the creator side of VidCon was just about growing your brand and not how to be responsible with it, which in this day and age might be kinda necessary. Ooh boy. Oh no. However, I have counted myself very lucky in that the second panel I attended on the first day ended up being arguably the worst one. Stream and I were alone for this one, and at first, we were a tad confused because the name of the panel had actually changed from what it was advertised in the booklet. Purportedly, the title they originally went with didn't suit in explaining what was going to be discussed, which admittedly does make me question how well this was thought out beforehand because I did have a very different idea of what this panel might offer advice on. So the minute we sit down, we're wondering if we're actually in the right place. The guy starts his spiel, introduces himself as a photographer. I don't remember his name, but his picture was in the booklet. This one. One of the things that this panel was supposed to cover was how to market your channel without breaking the bank to do so. And one of the things he discussed was difficulties that he had faced in getting his audience interested in his videos based on the thumbnails. Yeah, a photographer who struggles to instill engagement with his thumbnails. I'm sure you're already seeing the problem. See, but Stream and I didn't stay for the whole panel, and it was for one really big reason. That being that his solution to his struggles in attracting people with lackluster thumbnails was to establish and then take advantage of a parasocial relationship that he developed between his audience and his family. No. I'm not kidding. Of course, he never said that was what he was doing, but when he's detailing to you how he started incorporating his daughter into thumbnails for audience engagement, and that she and his son later went on to have channels of their own when they became of age, so you know he was doing this since they were children, and how his wife was camera shy, but they made a big thing of revealing her on the channel for Mother's Day, it's not exactly hard to figure out that that's exactly what he was doing.
My daughter's shy. She's a vegetarian. She likes to beat me up. She loves animals. She's a gymnast. Even a character that's not in our videos is my wife. She's camera shy. Sorry guys, yes, my daughter has a mother. She's camera shy. We did a video 2 weeks ago, after 2 years of talking about every once in a while my wife is camera shy, we just mentioned, revealing her for Mother's Day. Mother's Day, you know, who's Guess the Mom, emotional Mother's Day reveal. It had 130,000 people watch the premiere. That's massive numbers, like 130,000 people just watching the first 15 minutes of the video. And the reason why is because throughout the last couple of years, we've been talking about her. And they've connected enough with us that they want to now meet the next member of the family. So it's about building those relationships, and it starts with understanding what relationship you want to build. Rather than just, I don't know, like being the thing I was in the past, which is just like high energy, hey guys, we're gonna do thanks for what, and like all this high energy YouTube stuff, which is great, it works, but if there's not a relationship under there with the audience, if you're not exposing yourself in some way and being vulnerable in some way and being a human being, then that stuff gets old. And then when the trend dies, they don't have any personal connection to you.
Yeah. Boiled down, that advice sounds a lot like, turn your family into commodities for the sake of financial gain. At some point, I told Streamline that I was struggling writing this section of the video because I thought maybe I was being too hard on the guy, and her response was basically, no, I don't know what you're saying, but it's not hard enough. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I would kinda hope that if the goal was to be more personable to your audience, then you would default to conveying who you are through your art. Because remember, photographer, and not utilizing camera-shy and underage family members. Like, they didn't sign up for the YouTube life, that was your choice. Sure, I understand that having a relatable figure in the thumbnails is going to make people click on the video more, but isn't an interesting workaround to the artistic process finding ways to convey that without establishing parasocial relationships to exploit? I guess you could make the case that if the art is supposed to convey aspects about the person, then obviously a family man would incorporate aspects of his family into his art. Sure, I had to edit out a whole segment where I rambled about how my persona is designed to convey those aspects of myself, because rambling is also an aspect of my personality. But I'm also torn on that, because family vloggers exist, and they shouldn't. Honestly, I was pretty disappointed to hear a grown adult refer to his family members as characters within the narrative of his channel. I mean, you can talk about how fake the faux energy crap is all you want, but isn't denoting these real people as characters also betraying some exaggerated faux aspects of their portrayal? Even if he's approaching it from the audience's perspective, where the audience views them as characters, that means he willingly and knowingly chose to use his family to create that perception in the audience, willingly propping up underage and camera-shy family members to strangers on the internet who view them as characters and not people, simply to better market his channel where his own skills were lacking. You could argue that's what the high energy stuff is, just creators exaggerating aspects of their personality that they are comfortable sharing to a wider audience online. I'm not gonna argue that it can come across as very fake, but that is because it's a caricature, exaggerating them in the same way that we do with characters to make them more apparent through such a limited lens. I'm certainly not as articulate as I am in my videos, that's because I have a script, but my lacking skills in that regard do shine through now and again, especially if you consume my content on other platforms like Twitch. If the faux energy stuff can go out of fashion, so to speak, then feasibly so could your entire personality. Like, at that point, it kind of just sounds like personalities are trends, and making your audience perceive you as a friend means that they're less likely to trade you in when the new season of In Material drops, which I'm not a fan of. It's a tad shallow, all things considered, and I'm not really sure VidCon should be promoting this mindset to up-and-coming creators who might not even know what the word parasocial means, and Stream and I were really confused about this for a bit, sort of just looking at each other and whispering, is this guy seriously promoting what I think he's promoting? Like, VidCon unironically had a panel where the speaker promoted exploiting your family for the sake of establishing a parasocial relationship between your audience and them when you struggle with your thumbnails and engagement. And they were promoting this to other up-and-coming creators, younger creators who probably weren't aware of how detrimental, manipulative, and toxic parasocial relationships can be, and how easily they can be exploited for nefarious means by either side. His denoting of how big a reveal it was for a person who had purposely stayed off camera for years like his wife also specifically worried me, because what if the knowledge of how profitable a reveal like that would be could pressure someone into appearing in a family member's content even when they aren't comfortable with it for the sake of being supportive? But then again, what do I know? The concept of hitting certain subscriber thresholds gives me a panic attack. Clearly, I'm not the one to look to for advice here. Needless to say, we left. One thing I can say I wasn't expecting at VidCon and ended up being pleasantly surprised about was the amount of cosplay that I saw. Sure, it wasn't to the same extent you'd see at comic or sci-fi conventions, but it was definitely more than I expected, which was none. I've always been a mild fan of cosplay, never been terribly good at it myself, sorta requires a little too much open social physicality, but I appreciate the craft. And there was a good plethora of subjects to enjoy. Minecraft, the Owl House, Naruto, Disney and Monster High, even content from my own childhood that I imagine most people at VidCon are too young to remember. Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger, can I take your order? Honestly, if I were attending future events, that's one thing I would like to pick up more as a trend. We need more cosplay peeps, they're a treat for the eyes. After that fail of a last panel, Stream and I unfortunately ran into another snafu. That being that the next panel we went to was maybe falsely advertised? Not sure if that's actually the right descriptor. So, if I remember correctly, this was supposed to be a panel for creators and horror content. Something that Stream in particular was very excited about because I don't consume that content nearly as much. So, of course, you can imagine my confusion when the only person on the panel I recognized was the person who reacted to horror content that other people had made, and as far as I was aware, didn't actually make that content themselves. Which would maybe make sense if they were the panel host and were mostly just asking questions, but I remember them talking a fair amount. Not to mention the questions were a big ol' nothing burger. I did check out the other creators much later on, but a lot of that content sort of requires a belief in ghosts or curses, which I don't have. Perhaps interesting to a 12-year-old, but definitely not for us. This panel ended up being something neither of us were actually interested in, so we ditched that one too. It was around this point we met back up with some of the other girls for a commentary panel that I assume was on the community track. That one was fine, I guess. I don't remember too much about it, honestly. That's our first day of VidCon wrapped up, and now it's time to hang out. One of the things a bunch of the international gals were really keen on doing while in America was trying out all of the horrible American cuisine. So, logically, we got gelato. Sitting and trying not to get brain freeze while some of the girls dished about creators that made them uncomfortable who they didn't want to run into at the convention. There was a bowling event going on with some creators later that night. Sorry, I chose not to film them because I thought that would be rude. I won't tell you who was there, just that it was some people I recognized and would not have thought to just run into like that, so that was an experience. Hilarious thing, all throughout VidCon, I wasn't sure if I was supposed to be introducing myself by my actual name or by my channel name. Mostly because the people I interacted with sort of flip-flopped between the two options. You'll be happy to know I got it wrong every single time. Even more hilarious, this wasn't the extent of the snafus I ran into on this first day. See, one of the things I wanted to do on the off chance that I was recognized was just give the person a thing to show my appreciation. Much like how I brought the art gals their little bone jar necklaces, I wanted to have something to hand out on the off chance I ran into someone who was a fan of my content. Mostly because when I went to MomoCon one year, even without proper advertising that I was going to be walking around there, I ran into 2 fans of my content. One of them even had me sign their sketchbook. It was adorably flattering. So before VidCon, I created these triple octopus stickers, featuring Fiend, Ponder Sprocket's partner in crime, Herbert from my webcomic Idle Tentacles, I'll get back to it at some point, I promise, and Bethir, who you guys don't know about her yet, give me time. I liked these stickers, I really enjoyed how they turned out. The problem was that I screwed up in the order process by not confirming the sticker order in time, thinking I'd already done it. So they weren't going to arrive at my house until after I left for VidCon. I managed to get them delivered to the B&B while I was there, but that wasn't until the second day. And I ran into someone who recognized me on the first day! So, to that one person who took a picture with me on the first day of VidCon, I'm sorry. If you tweet at me and show me the picture that you took of us, I'll send you a couple stickers to make up for it. Bowling didn't pan out because I think the lanes were full and we would have been waiting around for like an hour before we even got to play. So after seeing a hilariously accurate approximation of Mally on TV, it was time to head back to the B&B for the night.
Day 2.
While waiting outside to be allowed back into the convention hall, Fiona, Mally, and I were interviewed about our impressions of the first day of VidCon. I'm not sure if the guy liked our lackluster feedback.
We got interviewed.
Yeah. Woo!
Unofficial face.
Until I censor you.
It was also here that we got a hint from the universe as to how this day would play out.
Wanted though. Try it once, because it wasn't at the lounge like this.
Is this a sign that we're screwed?
The Squishmallow jumping pit display was basically right at the entrance, which was a bad idea because it caused a buildup of people as soon as you got inside because everybody was scrambling to get in line early on. Which, gotta admit, I don't like crowds! So it was a breath of fresh air once Fiona and I were able to break free and just start wandering around the open halls. There was this huge, Nickelodeon display. That was kind of cute, mostly for taking selfies, but hey, the sets were neat.
Aw, that's cute! Oh, that's nice, little sets. School spirits? I imagine that's about spooky ghosts. Oh, there's like an iCarly stage with a giant fake ice cream. Just peek.
One of the things we'd failed to check out the first day was the Galaxy Lounge, primarily because it was a TikTok creator lounge, but we decided to give it a try today.
Hey, free snacks.
Oh, neat. Whoa.
Like, really, free snacks.
Oh my god. Drinks. Breakfast of champions.
Okay, so before I continue, I need to fill you in on some important context for something that happened later this day. A couple of the people we were hanging out with, I won't say who, had been getting texts from a creator that they were kinda unnerved by. And while they were trying to be nice in turning this person down, the person in question was also clearly not getting a clue. They ended up sharing the text back and forth with us, and we were all sort of equally unnerved. So on this second day, there was a plan to help those people avoid that creator. Those of us who were not particularly concerned about it were tasked with basically circling around and protecting these peeps whenever we were around them. We were effectively supposed to be on guard for if we happened to see this person. I didn't actually know what this creator looked like, but I was given a vague description of what they were wearing, and I figured that if I was with one of those people and I saw someone like that beelining for us, I could, at the very least, give them a warning. That was like the quest for the day. Protect these peeps from this one creator that made them uncomfortable so that they can enjoy the rest of their day. This'll come back up in a second. We attended another panel that was apparently so boring that Mally started drawing in the middle of it. The rest of the group had some community track events and maybe a meet and greet and take pictures thing that they wanted to go to, which I had no interest in. So setting out with Fiona Polo in tow, we broke off from the rest of the peeps to go check out the Algorithm Explained panel. Considering all I'd had to eat that day was a Sprite and a Cosmic Brownie, which, even for my tiny self, is not a lot, I was ready for some food. Paragon also didn't have any other panels they wanted to go to for a while, so the two of us met back up and headed outside to wait for everyone else to finish. Now, I didn't record either of these interactions, which is sort of par for the course for someone who isn't really much of a confident vlogger. But I'm also sad about it because both of them were objectively hilarious. Paragon and I had gone out to the food trucks to get some food for lunch. While we were seated out there, we were approached by a woman lugging along a travel case and looking for creators. She was handing out these little booklets that were maybe about half as thick as the VidCon schedule booklet itself. As she was handing them out to us, we were shooting them down, saying that we weren't interested in some NFT shill scam. She assured us, oh, no, it's not a scam. I'm promoting a new platform. Don't judge a book by its cover. Okay, fine, we don't want to be rude, so we take the pamphlets and let her talk. She starts her pitch detailing how she's advertising for this new platform that's supposed to be more creator-focused or whatever. It's been a while, I don't remember the exact specifics. And then certain little keywords started creeping into her pitch. Like blockchain. Then she says something along the lines of, creators can monetize individual aspects or key traits recognizable from their content on the blockchain. Man, the way that Paragon and I just sort of side-glanced at one another before, in unison, handing our pamphlets back over to her and saying that we weren't interested. Priceless. So then the second thing happened almost immediately after this one. I don't exactly remember what got us talking, but I was chatting with this older woman who was sitting beside us. We were under this really nice gazebo area down by the food trucks. She mentioned something about her granddaughter really liking stickers, and I was like, oh, I have some stickers, would you like one? After I handed her one of the little triple octopus stickers, she asks, oh, do you have a channel? And I'm like, yeah, it's called Ponder Sprocket. She thanks me, gets up, and wanders off to go meet up with whoever she came to the con with that day. All done, right? Well, unbeknownst to me, there was someone sitting a little farther down on the sofa she'd been seated at, who, I guess, overheard the name Ponder Sprocket. So they stand up, walk over, and okay, I need to fill you in on where we were sitting. I mentioned that we were in this open gazebo area, right? But right behind us was this big industrial fan blowing bubbles from some soft drink booth or something. I don't know. I only specifically remember that because I've definitely got footage from later on of the bubbles floating around us, but also because sitting right in front of this industrial fan blowing bubbles directly past my head sorta made it difficult to hear people. I was already really struggling to hear all of the conversation conversation with that older woman, and she was sitting directly beside me. So this person comes up to me and says something that I couldn't hear, but then I look up at their lips and I recognize the words being said as Ponder Sprocket. Obviously, the first thing on my mind is, oh, they recognize the name. So the first thing I do is reach into my bag, grab a sticker, and hand it to them. When I did, they, in turn, grabbed my hand, doing a little handshake, and I really struggled to hear what they were saying, but through their lips, it was something like, I've got a channel too. So, taking a shot, hoping I read that right, I asked, oh cool, what's your channel? And they, whoo, like a creeper, clasped their other hand around mine, leaned in, and said, the name of the channel creator I was supposed to be on the lookout for. Another thing that you have to know about me is that I'm not particularly good at hiding how I feel. Like, if I don't like you, you're probably gonna know that I don't like you. I will just sort of blurt things out that are on my mind in the moment. In some instances, that blunt truthfulness is appreciated. In other situations, it does not work out for me. Like the time I told a chronic liar that I didn't believe them. Oh lord, that was an experience. So, just try and guess how someone like that would react to a situation like this. Before I could even properly process what this person had said, my mouth screams out, "Oh God!" I don't know what that said to them in the moment, but after I yelled that, again, like a creeper, they squeezed my hand, smiled, and then walked away. And I'm just sitting there like, what the fuck just happened? Was that real? Did I pass out? Am I hallucinating? Paragon later told me that they were seated in a better position and could actually hear them. According to them, not only could they recognize their voice, apparently this creator was also putting on some phony accent, which just turned into an extra level of this can't have been real. It's too stupid to be real. I'm not usually very good at explaining my emotions. I find that highlighting what my body is physically experiencing in the moment is easier than trying to articulate this nebulous, unmeasurable, unseen feeling. In that regard, I find that comparisons work out pretty well, and after thinking about it for a while, I think an event from later on in the trip helps to adequately explain what this experience elicited emotionally. It was like a cockroach crawling across your hand, taking you by surprise with a disgusting, probably disease-ridden creepy crawly that I'm specifically adverse to because I'm allergic to them. At least that's the best comparison that I could come up with. And some of you might be thinking, oh, that's the funny part. The funny part was the experience. No, the funny part is the context around it. See, 5 minutes, maybe not even that, after this person walked away from us, the other people that we were hanging out with at VidCon came to meet up with us in that exact spot, including the people this creator was looking for. The funny thing is that if they hadn't introduced themselves to me, showing a person who otherwise wouldn't have been able to pick them out of a crowd exactly what they looked like, and they just sat there for a couple extra minutes, they would have had the exact people who were trying to avoid them walk right up to them, none the wiser. I guess doing whatever purpose that served was more important, which is so funny that it ended up being the greatest part of the whole trip. Finding out about the accent later on makes me think that this was supposed to be some means of turning me into the butt of a joke, but I will absolutely take that if it means this idiot missed out on cornering the people who were trying to avoid them. If I can't protect my friends with my physicality, I'll protect them by being a fucking dork. It all works out in the end. My dorkitude protecting my friends was even karmically rewarded with a tiny doge.
Tiny doge!
If I remember correctly, the algorithm panel was actually the last one I'd really been concerned with that day, so I was free to tag along with Harley and Callie Mara over to a community track panel about comedy in commentary. Callie was definitely a bigger fan of the creators on stage than I was.
Absolutely.
She also noticed another creator that she was a fan of sitting like 2 rows behind us, but we think that her silent gushing and constantly peeking over her shoulder may have spooked them away like a frightened mouse. It's okay, whoever you were, I totally get it. At some point, apparently, I got distracted by some alien cat mascots. Up update! Some of the other peeps checked over the video, and I have since been informed about what I did. Callie didn't scare them away. That was 100% probably on me. I'm just an idiot. Don't expect me to recognize or even register the people around me. I will fail every time. I think after this point we hung outside for a little bit because I think this is where we started taking note of the art on the cover of the VidCon schedule, which, yeah, we couldn't find a credit to an artist. I'm like 90% sure this was made by AI. Why do I think that? Well, we made a game of it. Spot the thing that no artist worth their salt would have included in an illustration. Like, look at this thing. Really? Look at it. For one thing, you've got tangents out the wazoo. For you non-artists out there, tangents are lines that are not supposed to be touching. You've got the lines of clouds connecting to the building as though they are the same figure, connecting to the tips of the VidCon lettering, to stars and the color patterns on planets. Then we've got a couple seemingly useless shadows. You've got a rainbow arch drawn by someone who doesn't know how arches work. You've got lines that disappear and colors that change behind figures for no reason. You've got a swing attached to the ground, a doorway to nowhere that stands higher than the building it's supposed to lead into, water that bleeds into the sky, some random free-floating diamond with extra segments visible that don't need to be there, a highlight in the middle of a tongue, which is generally the darker part. I don't even know what the design of this building is supposed to be. Tangent, 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 tangents galore. You know, if it turns out this actually was done by an artist, 1, I apologize. 2, how the hell did you get this job? 3, go back to school, damn! My artistic brain bleeds every time I try looking at this hellish thing. I understand that people who aren't artistically inclined are probably not going to see all of these glaring issues, but that's not an excuse to be lazy. And that's particularly why I think it was done with AI. Again, because no artist credit, but because these are all really glaring issues that would stand out to a human artist, but which an AI would gloss over because it doesn't know any better. It's lazy, to say the least, and I will be looking out for this shit come next VidCon. If I'm right and this was made by AI, how fucking dare you host a convention meant to uplift content creators while taking work away from artists? If I'm wrong and it was made by an artist, firstly, credit your freaking artists. Lord knows I looked and could not find a credit. Clearly, you're not uplifting that creator. But otherwise, hire someone who actually knows what they're doing. Good God. Since we were clearly in an artsy mood, next came the draw fight panel, which, good God, seems terrifying. 'Twas funny, I can give it that, though it was definitely directed at a much younger audience. There was one dude in a kilt who participated. He was cool. Got a shot of him afterwards. Rock on! Callie and I hung out on our lonesome for a little bit. I don't have any footage of it, but I remember she got donuts. She was also very sweetly offering some to the security guards working outside the convention. That's how you can tell if someone's a good person, by the way. How they treat service workers. I also remember by this point, I was starting to worry about whether or not I'd have enough room for all of these heckin' stickers in my luggage, because even if I wasn't buying merch, I was accumulating some things by the end of these days, and I had bought some souvenirs for the family back home. And I sorta expected the stickers to arrive at my home so I could use them for later. I was only really gonna bring like maybe 20 to 30 on this trip, max. So I just started running up to people and asking them if they liked octopuses or stickers and handing out as many as I could to lighten the load. It worked. I had just enough space in my luggage once I really crammed everything in. I handed out just enough stickers that I was able to fit all the remaining ones in this little plastic box that I'd brought the bird bone necklaces over in. Like a glove. I'd actually totally forgotten about this part until I was reminded of it recently, but even after giving away all of those stickers, I still had too many to fit into the little box that I was going to store them in, so I wound up giving like 20 or 30 to Harley TBS. Since bowling had been a bust the night before, we tried again, and this night was actually a success. Although I wasn't expecting to be teleported under the sea whilst heading over there. Ah! 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 What is all this? I love this place.
I want to live here. Wait, I love this place. Look at that. It's gorgeous. Oh, I love you. I love this place. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. Well, why the fuck are you here? What's wrong with your face? Why are the rest of them fine and you're just fucking weird?
Nobody will be shocked to know that a bunch of artists and commentators who barely see the light of day are not particularly good at bowling.
Come on, stream!
And it's in the gut. I love this.
Although, even though I sucked, I was sucking slightly less than almost everyone else. I'll take it. Pay no mind to the top-heavy dunce who can't throw the ball without falling over. I have no core strength. What do you want from me? At some point, Harley also decided to enact their baby card and put up the gutter guards, so we started sucking even more slightly less.
Harley activated the bumpers because gutter balls make them sad.
And I'm happy now. There won't be a trigger warning death on this video.
Woohoo!
Probably. Wow, there's still more time on the trip.
Yeah? Oh yeah. I might win.
Yeah, you might win.
Fail, Paragon. Fail.
But they also won by technicality because they got to go one more round than I did. I would have freaking won if I got the same number of rounds.
This bitch won by technicality because they got an extra fucking turn.
It's all good, I won.
They're British and gay. They needed a W. Just let them have it.
Woo! Let's fucking go! Oh no, turn the aquarium back on. I loved it. Fish. Fish.
Day 3. While day 3 happened to have at least 3 panels I wanted to attend early in the morning, I ran into another snafu.
Final day, I slept in and missed 3 panels because nobody woke me, because I'm notoriously difficult to wake up when I haven't slept enough. Fuck, I should have made note of that to everyone.
Here, have a peek at this lovely B&B and me brushing my teeth. Also at this heathen of a cockroach that scared the bejesus out of me and I had to smash behind the trash can. I may have been alone, but I fought with all of my heart that day and I heckin' won. Just so happens it took damn near all of my body weight to crush the thing. I didn't get any footage of it, but another one of the buggers scurried in from the outside a little later on, either that day or the next day, and I don't think everyone was prepared to hear me shriek like a banshee the moment I saw it skittering across the floor. You know, I thought only house centipedes could get that reaction out of me, so that was a fun little personal tidbit to discover about myself. Luckily, Streamline is damn near fearless and scooped the thing up in her hand. Such power, unparalleled across the cosmos. Even if I'd missed out on half of the things I wanted to go to that day, there were still 2 others that caught my eye, so into an Uber and off to VidCon I went. I attended the Everything You Learned at VidCon is Wrong and So Am I panel. What can I say? After some of the panels we'd been to, it just spoke to me. And then later met up with Streamline for a panel at the Creator Lab stage. Both of those I remember being pretty good. It was a good way to tie off the day. I have absolutely no footage of the next segment because it was another case of I thought it would be rude. Basically, Harley was invited to a party at another creator's B&B. I won't say who. A bunch of different people were going to be there and Harley was allowed to bring guests, so we tagged along. Honestly, I mostly wanted to go because I heard they had a pool. That didn't end up working out. Not only did I discover that I had left my swimsuit hanging up in the closet at the last hotel I stayed at before arriving at the B&B, which I had to then go and get the next day, it was also a rare too cold to swim day for California, and my fibromyalgia-riddled nerves hate the cold, so that definitely wasn't going to happen. I am not one for mingling at parties, so I absolutely just stuck to the group I already knew. However, there was one thing that I witnessed there that I thought was interesting. See, while we were just sort of sitting and talking, there was something going down on Twitter where a relatively large creator had been outed for doing something physical to another person of the "I did not consent to this" variety. During the party, you could even go onto his Twitter and see that he was having a bit of a meltdown. While we were there, someone was going around the party asking who leaked the info. So that was interesting. Benefit of the doubt, my perception of this could have been totally off, and the truth of the matter wasn't quite as scandalous when you actually knew the full context. But not knowing that potential other context, I did raise a brow. Put a bit of a bad taste in my mouth. Not entirely sure if those are the types of parties I want to be attending, but that's fine, I hate mingling anyways. Thank Cthulhu for friends who aren't used to weed. Somewhat hilariously, Mally was trying to subtly indicate to me that she needed help, so she was actually sending me messages on Discord trying to get my attention. But unbeknownst to her, I didn't have Discord notifications set up on my phone at the time. So then she tries giving me a call only for Stream to lean over, look at my caller ID, and go, "Hey Mally, why are you calling B? They're right here." At that point, Mally took me aside and explained her situation. As it turns out, before the party, Mally had taken an edible and was having a bit of a bad reaction. And so, as the resident stoner, I switched into mom mode. We excused ourselves from the party, headed back to the B&B, and snuggled up to watch Gravity Falls for the rest of the evening. Pro tip, guys, if you're not used to weed, don't start with edibles. Not only does it take longer for it to kick in, so it takes longer for you to know if you're having a bad reaction, they also last longer, and you're something like 60% more likely to have a bad trip, especially if you're not used to them. My tolerance level was a little intense at that time, so with their permission, I popped a couple of those same edibles. They were tasty. Then we chillaxed together, waiting for the bad trip to run its course and watching Gravity Falls to keep them comfy. Maybe an hour or two after we left, most of the other girls joined us. Apparently the party wasn't that great. So we all got to sit around in our pajamas watching Gravity Falls, and Callie shared some shrimp with me from her seafood bowl. Yum! Our final vacation day at the B&B was not actually a VidCon day. It was mostly a chillax with the group and try to devour all the terrible American food they bought day. Julie came by to hang out, we played Uno. I love this.
What is that, 8?
8. Yeah. You have to draw 8.
I got scared.
Oh my god.
I like the crab and bucket mentality. Instead of letting one person win, we're all dragging each other down.
Look, this is how things should be. This is how Uno is played.
So realistic. That's how the world is.
With a game of Uno.
Yes. What if it didn't go in this direction anymore? I'm just saying. I think that would be a good idea. I hope you die.
I think Paragon disagreed with that.
Why blue?
I like that.
Fucking fuck.
Most of the crew went shopping while we took a trip past copious amounts of California flora.
Big boys. Oh, big boys.
Look at him.
Look at them big boys. Spiky big boys. I will not hug you.
Oh, that sun's killing this one. Sun's killing that one too.
Yeah. To a faux place where I lobotomized my drink.
I must destroy you. Have fun being dead. Yeah. Right in the middle. Yeah. Oh my god, I lobotomized it. No.
And I ate so much awful American food. I had to clear out the fridge. It had to be done. Julie and I also had to break off to go grab my swimsuit, and when we returned, everyone was hankering to watch a movie. So a bunch of us went out to watch Into the Spider-Verse. Yes, I did tear up in that scene with Gwen and her dad. Julie clocked me on it. What do you want from me? Also, I think everybody burst out laughing when the spot had been on screen for like 5 minutes, and Stream calls out, "Oh, that's why there's so much porn of him." Ah! With all of our bags packed and all of our souvenirs tightly and snugly secured, 10 a.m. the next day came rather quickly, and we were out the door and on our way out of the country. Thanks for the trip, all you lovely commentary gals, NBs, and California. I hope to do it again next year. And by next year, I mean like in a day. I'm flying out a few hours after this video goes live. Because it took me forever to actually make this video because, that's why. I've definitely got a lot more activities with friends to squeeze in, but I do want to give VidCon another shot. Considering my first experience at the convention was right after the 2-year virus lockdown that apparently cannot be named, and given that we were sorta in the throes of NFTs and right on the cusp of our present-day AI takeover, I'd like to think that a lot of the issues had with the panels and whatnot were a fluke. Peeps who have attended the con in the past were very reassuring in saying that 2023 was probably just a bad year, and I choose to believe them. Alright, so what have we learned from this experience? That VidCon could maybe use some better creator advice panels, at least based on the few that I saw. That there should be more cosplay, turn it into a whole thing. And there should totally be an artist alley. Yeah, I know, I'm basically turning it into a comic book convention, but think about it. Then you could fill the booths with actual creators from across the artistic spectrum. Sure, VidCon's got a plethora of animators, but you could also have some model builders, taxidermy enthusiasts, character creators, illustrators, cosplay makers, clothing designers, musicians. Like, really tap into the wealth of artists on the platform. It may also be good for VidCon to invest in creator track panels about platform responsibility and not just about channel growth or how to make more money. Given that I'm writing this just as the I'm Alex allegations dropped, and yeah, I don't think we need more of that. Hell, maybe some panels about how to spot phishing emails. I've heard of like 3 different creators in my general sphere who had their accounts taken over in the last couple months. With how flimsy and unreliable this career path is to begin with, a means of teaching creators how to protect themselves in those situations would be a really good idea. I also expect an actual artist to have been hired to do the booklet this year, so if I can't find a credit, someone's going to be hunted down and they will face my wrath. So, I guess if you're going to VidCon this year and you see someone with green hair, ask them what their favorite animal is. Maybe you'll get a sticker out of it. Toodles!